Hi, my name is Jessica Urgo, and I'm probably not the normal person that you would expect to see here. I am an experiential creative director in advertising, and if you don't know what that is, when I started in 2008, it was a lot like Mad Men. I didn't sever someone's foot by riding a mower at the office party like was in the show, but a lot of crazy things happen, and they're not necessarily appropriate. So if you buy me a beer, I will gladly tell you some stories. That said, I've worked on a lot of different brands, HBO, David Bowie, Netflix, and what I really love about experiential is that it's about connection. It's not like watching a commercial or getting an ad on Instagram. It's a two-way conversation. And this is where Web3 and experiential can really help each other through that connection. So why would experiential matter, right? Well, depending on whatever you're working on, it could increase audience engagement. It could help create content. It creates memorable, emotional connections. And all of that really leads to what is most important, brand advocates. It's not somebody who just likes your brand or interacts with it. It's somebody that truly believes, that shares it, that talks about it. That's ultimately what we want to create with a lot of products and companies. And Web3 is right now is a place where a lot of that is happening. There is a lot of growth. So it's important to be able to differentiate yourself. So I'm on Discord like a lot of you, and there's lots of shared experiences that we're having there, but we're not building it beyond Discord. We're not growing and bonding those communities. Offline is more impactful. I mean, that's why we're here, right? Otherwise, we could just do Zoom meetings and not have ETHDenver at all. But we want to experience this together. We want to learn and grow together. Especially with everyone being really remote now, living online, in-person communities are just starting to get harder and harder to find. So let's start at the very beginning. What is an experiential activation? So I have 3 different examples for you. The first is a bigger one. It's something that might be around for months. It might be in a building. It's going to be something bigger that you walk through. It might have multiple rooms. And one of the ones that I did was for David Bowie. It was for his 75th birthday, and retail stores are generally not that interesting, right? But we changed that. We made it so people were coming back again and again. Each nook and cranny in it had an immersive moment. You could send a message to space to say thank you to Bowie. You could learn about his songwriting method and try it yourself. Another one is a pop-up. You've probably seen these before. They're in parks and on streets. One we did for Instagram was about highlighting small businesses for their shops. We really wanted to come in and, again, create that emotional connection. So for each small business that we were highlighting, there was a story to bring you in, something to learn about. We built specific displays for each item to make it special. And there were QR codes that mailed it straight to your house. Lastly, those are the simple ones that you walk by, you do the quick interaction, and you leave. The Oreo vault, you walk by, you get a little treat. There was a free floating door for Reese's on Halloween, and another one that had a bunch of door frames for each different movie, and if you used AR, you could step through it to a different world. Now, when I come to a lot of these events, everybody gets really excited and when they hear what I do, and they're like, oh, can you do that for me? Can you do that for my brand? Like, we could have so much fun at ETHDenver next year, and what nobody realizes is there's budget that's important, and there's also a massive group of people. There's producers, fabricators, creative directors, multiple people working on these projects. So I want to play a little game with you guys. Just shout out what you think, and we're going to play what does this cost. I promise we're going to get to Web3 after this. So this was at a conference. It was a little booth. There's some products in it. What do you think building this cost? $50,000. The carpet was $15,000. This was at Sundance. It was for Lyft. It was at the place where you got picked up and dropped off, so you could do something while you waited. There were throwback games, a hot cocoa bar. There were opportunities to win prizes and discount codes. What do you think this cost? 100? Anybody else? 250 for the guy in the hat. You win greatness. Now, we're clearly going up, So this one was for Amazon Prime hunters. We took over one block in LA and turned it into 1977 New York. We created the sign on this. We turned it into a grindhouse. When you went in, you got to watch the premiere. There was 70s candy. There was a comic book shop. We had 40 immersive actors on the streets. When you walked across the street, you went into a bowling alley where we had 3 experiences, parties, swag. What do you think this cost? $4.5 million. Yeah. Yep. So these are really cool, though. People love them. You get a lot of experiences out them. You create connections. You want to go see the show or whatever it is. So let's now start bringing in Web3, right? And we're going to talk about NFTs. And we need to start from the beginning because there's a lot of misunderstood potential that everybody here is going to know, right? We're going to talk about 2 different examples. Porsche, for example, they released 7,500 NFTs for about $1,500 a piece. The next day, it was dead. They turned it off after the release. The next one was Outside Magazine. They had 10,000 NFTs and an additional 3,000 that were free. That was dead within a few months. If the main functionality of an NFT is the NFT, that does not carry utility. The price is not really the biggest issue, but the value that's associated with it. So imagine Porsche, those people got money to drop, right? $1,500, nothing. But it did not offer value. There was no utility beyond what the NFT was offering. These are a lot of ways that when you look at the Gen 1, right, it was seen as a ticket, a piece of art. It was mostly online. There wasn't a lot of things beyond that to give value beyond that utility. So here's where we get back to connection, right? We want to create something like that's a relatable experience. These are what creates community and builds bridges from your IP to your IP from other communities. That's how you bring people in, build those connections, get those brand advocates. So let's talk about some of the unique aspects that are going to be able to bring these 2 worlds together. And one of the reasons why we can think about this too is you're going to be at ETHDenver next week. So how many of these things are you going to see? How many of these booths are going to have these types of interactions? So the first big thing is brand storytelling. This is where you get those emotional connections, right? Because you're diving deeper. You're learning about it. You're learning about the brand and why they exist. And that is how you create the brand advocates. So here's a fun way of something you could do, a scavenger hunt. It promotes exploration, engagement, it gamifies the experience, which we know works really well, and it can support local economies. So it's fun to talk about this, but I've done it. So the first example is for the Paralympics. And in the Olympics, you might not give a shit about the country that you're looking for, but you might care about the athletes, right? Like Phelps. People tuned in to watch Michael Phelps. But people really don't care about the Paralympics, and they don't really know any of the Paralympians, so we aim to change that. We wanted to teach people about their journeys, right? Their very real stories. So we created paths in the city that mirrored this. The different pins represented milestones in their life, and as you went and you collected these NFTs, you unlocked interactive murals. If one of them was a kayaker, you got a discount at a kayak rental spot that was on the water. You might get a workout session at the park, and at the end, when the Paralympics were on, you could use these NFTs to play along within the Paralympics. I brought 2 examples for this just because I think that the brand storytelling is so great. At Cannes, everybody's there to just get drunk on a boat, right? But France, they want people to know about France. So we created something that was about the authors in southern France. It was a Da Vinci Code style-esque quest that was inspired by these writers. We had keys all over the cities, and each one unlocked a different thing. So there was a unique game URL, there were instructions, clues, and that NFT was a key to unlock another clue. After everything was solved, those NFTs combined into one NFT, and you were gotten an invite to a party, and it also became the first edition of a book. Then there was continued contact after this, where it was like, do you want to do this while you're in Cannes? Here's something you could do next year. It continued that connection through that NFT. Now, everybody wants a personalized experience. You want something different than what's next to you, right? Nobody wants to be doing the exact same thing. One of the things that these NFTs allow for is making profiles and customization. So festivals, sports, concerts, these are all places where third parties can come and you could integrate yourself into the story that is happening there, right? It provides a tangible value along with the memories that you're making. So one example is an EV car that had wanted to do something at a soccer match. They had these ignition buttons that they kept on talking about because these electrify the moment, right? They like level up your moment. So hiding these little ignition buttons all over the arena. And when you scanned it, it could unlock something. You would get an NFT, and then you could use that to do other things. It might open you up to a meet and greet, a door that gave you a really great view of the field, discounts, memorabilia. Some of them just started raining confetti down upon you, and you got a picture, and then that became the NFT. It also was able to drive CRM, data capture, and leads for this car brand. Now, integration. This is a really important one. We have physical and digital worlds colliding. Apple's doing that, right? This is the future with the new headset, right? This like hybrid era. So AR art galleries is one way to think about this, right? You're bridging the gap between these different worlds. You are engaging in tech-savvy people, but also people who might be really new to the space that are just walking around or into this. And it also encourages direct interaction and transactions with artists. So this is what happened at ETH Paris last year. And we created this map that people could consult, and you could view the regional artwork in real time as it was being constructed. You could also go there, add your own work / block to the correlating to one of the 3 marketplaces, like the Eiffel Tower. And then the final pieces were all bound to a 3D model. The last one, privacy protection. We know that this is something people are starting to get really concerned about. So this is really good for places that are festivals or places that have a lot of spirits and interactions. You're drinking, you need to be able to check that you're 21. So these are also places where you could get VIP access, exclusive experiences, other things like that. So one way to think about that was there was a tequila brand that wanted to do a big activation with multiple areas. So people getting to drink different things, having different experiences. So why not just get the bracelet, right, that says you're 21? Well, instead, we can do an NFT and we can customize your experience. So using RFID bracelets, you attach your NFT that you bought, and it not only like gets you in, and it reduces the lines because now you just have to tap that bracelet. You walk around the experience and it will give you, say, custom drinks depending on whatever that profile is. It keeps track of the experiences that you do as you tap the bracelet, and this all gets put into that data. And then the company at the end was able to get all of this data about things that you like, what you do, without linking it to you directly. It doesn't know how old you are. It doesn't know if you're a boy. It doesn't know if you like cats. It just has this data of the things that you did while you were there. So that's a lot of opportunity, but what about the challenges? You want to have, like, the technological complexity is pretty high there, right? The process of creating, buying, and using the NFT. And you might say, ETHDenver, everybody knows how to do this shit. 2 years ago at SmartCon, there were a lot of bankers there. They were sent there to learn about DeFi, but they knew absolutely nothing. They were there by their banks. And yet there were all these things that were happening that they didn't really understand. So you really need to have a user-friendly platform that is going to offer that straightforward minting and purchasing. You want clear guides, and you want brand ambassadors there that are going to support them. An example of this is, I don't know if anybody saw the Renfield movie, but when it was released in theaters, while everybody was waiting during the preview, they released a game on the preview. You got the game, you were able to play it, you earned NFTs, and then once the movie was over, they continued this. You could keep playing, you could earn stuff. There was, I think, like 8,000 prizes, and the more you played and the more you earned, the more things that you got. Value beyond the event. You don't want attendees to question the value of it after the event is over, so you need to design them for that long-term utility. Kings of Leon is a really great example of this because they released their album as an NFT, and then you could get buyer's perks and VIP concerts to the next show. Inclusivity, accessibility, the cost of NFTs, the necessity of the wallet. So offering that range at different price points, using different chains to affect that pricing, and most people don't think about this, but using email. Infinity Keys is a Web3 gaming platform, and they offer the use of email. You can see it on here. You can collect it to your wallet or get the NFT sent straight to your email where it will stay until you want to put it in that wallet. Last year, if you were here, Raid Brewed had beer, and each beer had a NFT on it. You pulled off the sticker, you got an NFT that related, or that I think gives you part ownership in the beer. And so what they did was they combined forces with Infinity Keys. You got these NFTs. They could be in your email, but at the end, if you caught all 3 of them, then you got invited to an exclusive party. The last one is integrating meaningfully, and we've talked about this quite a bit so far, but you don't want to risk feeling like a gimmick. You want to integrate to enhance the experience, exclusive access, interactive experiences, part of this storytelling element. So a really great example of that is the Australian Open, tennis of all things, right? So what they did was they created all of these art balls, and you could buy one and pick a plot on a court per game. If the ball landed on that plot, it would record like your match results, but on top of that, you would win tickets to a corresponding match the next year. This ended up raising over $7 million, and then on top of it, 15% of them were people who were entirely new to NFTs, which is actually a really large number considering people that didn't even know how to get a wallet. So now, let's create your event together. I have a list of questions for you to ask yourself. The first one is, who is your audience, right? Is it that banker that's coming to SmartCon? Is it a developer? Is it somebody who's into sports because what you're doing is a sports piece? What is your goal? Is it brand awareness? Do you want to continue having these connections with these people? Is it data capture? What is the thing that you want to walk away with? This is my favorite. Is it dumb or is it fun? You always have to ask yourself this. This is important. If it's dumb, it's something that you're probably not going to do, your friends aren't going to do. If it's fun, even if it's hard, they might do it. And then the happy place is dumb and fun. It is where silliness and the fun resides, right? That's what I like. The next one is a little bit less of a question. It's more of a tactic, but you want to go crazy first, right? You want to go and push, be nuts. Don't think about anything with any sort of limitations, and then bring it back. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Does this tell my story? Does this talk to my audience? And the last thing, how are you going to educate and support, right? You don't want to just give away free crap. You just don't want people to come, interact with you, leave. That's like coming and getting a tote bag and never, ever coming back, right? You want them to walk away with something. What is it? Like, what is, and that goes back a little bit to like what your goal is. Do you want them to think that you're really cool? Do you want them to follow you on Twitter and start interacting you? Sorry, X. That all depends on what you want out of it and what you want them to get out of it. So that is my presentation. I have created one of the booths that you're going to be seeing at ETHDenver next week for Chainlink. And then also, I am the creative director, experiential creative director, leading everything for a new company launching called Last. And if you follow them on Twitter X, we're going to be giving away stuff. We're going to be bringing some cool things places. So if you follow them, you might get some cool swag and come to our party. That's about it. I have 1 minute, so I don't know if anybody has any questions. Yeah? Is that what? Is that what? That's the full cost, including paying for me and anybody else who's building it. So it includes, his question was $4 million. What does that included? I mean, that includes renting the space for 6 days, right? It included paying the actors. It included renting the cars. We built the sign. We had cocktails that we gave out that were themed towards the show. So each thing has a cost. Even rugs. Rugs have a cost. Lighting has a cost. All of those little things start to really build up. Thank you.